Hey everyone, it's Nate from 633 Sound. If you're a guitar player and you find yourself playing the same things over and over again or relying on just typical licks that you've learned, doesn't matter what the genre is, if you feel like you're just repeating yourself solely based on things that you've learned before but you're not really progressing anymore, I find that a great way to break out of that and kind of move forward in developing your own musical style and language is to simplify what we're using. So instead of playing 6 and 10 and 20 licks strung together to create a solo or some sort of musical sentence, if we stop and we take maybe just 2 or 3 or 4 notes at a time and use that paired with some sort of repetitive rhythm, we can get a lot more mileage out of what we're playing. I noticed that this was an aspect that has really helped develop my own guitar soloing, or even just creating things within the context of writing songs where I need some sort of little hook or some sort of part that ebbs and flows with the song. This has been incredibly helpful for me personally, and I still practice it because you can build things into longer phrases and still make things more complex, but without just relying solely on the technique or the familiar places that our hands want to go, especially as guitar players. The other thing that I've noticed is within guitar culture, we're really almost fearful of repeating ourselves. But if we think about other types of musicians, and if we think specifically about vocals for some of our favorite songs, there's a repetitive melody. There's something for the listener to hook onto, and for that to be kind of a consistent point of familiarity throughout the song. Not only is that what helps get certain musical ideas stuck in our heads, but it's something that allows a listener to have kind of a home base to come back to. So you can introduce additional variations, you can increase the complexity, you can have different parts of songs or different parts of solos or whatever the actual aspect that we're playing is within a musical context. There can be variation, but the listener always has something to return home to. So here's a quick idea. I'm going to just take 3 or 4 notes and I'm going to play it across multiple octaves. So instead of just sticking to a familiar shape and climbing across all 6 strings or letting technique dictate what I'm doing, I'm going to intentionally take, in this case, I'm going to just play. I'm going to take that figure and I'm going to move it across 3 octaves, starting down here on my low E string at the 3rd and 5th frets. So that figure played across 3 octaves sounds like this. And then I can end it in the same way that we'd want a sentence to end or some sort of resolution to come back. I might end it like this. Okay, so I can take and build a much longer musical phrase like this. So even if I just repeat that same rhythm and those same 4 notes, it becomes much more interesting than some of the typical guitar isms or phrases that we learn. It's just allowing ourselves to simplify what we're thinking about, not taking every single thing that we've worked on or everything that we think is going to be flashy or catch the eye or ear of the listener, and instead relying on something a little bit simpler, but maximizing what we're getting out of that concept. I like to do this a lot because you give yourself also some sort of home base. So if you feel like you are trying things and you're pushing the boundaries of your improvisation or your songwriting skills, you have something to fall back on. It's okay to play bum notes or to experiment. A lot of times I've heard it said where if everything that you're playing sounds good, you're not practicing, because it's the idea that your concepts and the boundaries that you're trying to push yourself through and toward or trying to increase your capabilities are not truly moving forward or not moving forward at the same rate if everything that you play sounds good, because you're relying on things that are familiar. This is a way to just approach soloing with a little bit more intention. I'm going to go ahead and play a few more examples, and I want you to listen for the ways that I come back to those rhythmic ideas or come back to that exact phrase that I just played a little while ago, or even developing additional phrases with other groupings of notes, but where it's repetitive and something that I'm using those bite-sized pieces to really sew a consistent thread without getting stuck in something that's just my left hand knows this shape. Let me just run up and down this as fast as I can, or just change the number of times I'm playing a certain note or a certain thing. If you've got any questions about improving your soloing abilities or songwriting or music theory, I would love for you to book a lesson with me. I'd love the opportunity to help you advance and break through any barriers that you're experiencing. The easiest way to get a hold of me or to book a lesson with me is to head on over to 633sound.com. And we've got all of our services listed there. There's an easy scheduling tool. You can also shoot me an email if you've got any questions about booking. But I hope this has been helpful. I'm going to play a few more examples for you. Have a great rest of the day.